And welcome back to Zandvoort for day 2 of the DTM race weekend here in Holland. Of course, 2 races over the weekends now, and that means 2 qualifying as well, as we're about to do qualifying for race 8, which comes up later this afternoon here at Zandvoort. And yesterday's race, well, it was a big BMW fest. The top 7 places all going the way of BMW, and the victor in yesterday's race was Marco Wittmann, the current champion, the first time for him to show in this season so far. So as we take a look at the circuit here, which is challenging, very old school circuit, as my colleague alongside me will tell us in due course, and the fans here expecting a great race this afternoon. Another big difference from yesterday, as we look at Robert Wickens and Gary Paffett having a discussion there, is the fact that it's much cooler. It's overcast. There was some rain overnight, and I have to say the sun was out a little while ago, but it's gone back in again, and the clouds hang high overhead, and there is the threat of rain. Don't think it's going to affect qualifying, but it might change the face of the race this afternoon, that's for sure, as we look at Antonio Felix da Costa, who took P2 yesterday in that Red Bull liveried BMW. He runs with number 13. All the DTM drivers this year with permanent race numbers. There's Pascal Wehrlein, who runs with number 94. He finished P10 yesterday. And Christian Vittoris, Mercedes driver, there, the focus on his eyes, and more of the fans here with their DTM flags awaiting this qualifying session, which will get underway shortly. A very short, sharp burst of qualifying to set the grid for this afternoon's race. And the colleague that I mentioned just a few moments ago in my opening is David Addison, who, as always, is feverishly working on various bits of paper to try and work out the strategy. The warm-up this morning went the way of Eduardo Mortara and Gary Paffett, and Augusto Farfus and Jamie Green and Maximilian Gertz. We can't read too much into that ever, can we?
No, but one thing that was evident this morning was drama for Matthias Ekstrom, whose car ground to a halt out on the circuit and had to be retrieved. And I was also just trying to get to the bottom of that as well before we get into the serious business of qualifying. It's, as you've made the point, only 20 minutes, so you can expect 2 brief runs, 2 sets of tyres used. We're not aware of anybody carrying a penalty into this race, so there's nobody that's deliberately going to end up at, or sorry, by definition, going to be at the back of the grid. In other words, everybody can and should fight for a time here, and it is certainly much cooler, as you've made the point, compared to yesterday, and also a bit breezier. And I just wonder how much of an effect on the aero that might have.
Yes, it might. And I just wonder whether, you know, if you're going to go out early on, whether that's going to be advantageous. I don't think in the space of 20 minutes we're going to see a shower, but we might. Therefore, Timo Scheider and Mike Rockenfeller, as you can see there, they're going to be out straight away to see what they can bank at the start of the session. There is Jamie Green, who goes into this race still atop the championship points, although his championship has been diminished marginally. Paul Di Resta, who had a torrid time of it in both qualifying and in the race yesterday, and he'll be hoping to make amends in the race this afternoon. Danny Juncadella in the Petronas colours as we go back to Antonio Felix da Costa, and we get the green, so qualifying is on and underway. Matthias Ekstrom, whatever issues with his car in the warm-up, Matthias Ekstrom is out on track, and so too is Adrien Tombe, as you can see him now slowly making his way out of the pit lane and onto the track. So we've got Timo Scheider, Mike Rockenfeller, Matthias Ekstrom, Christian Vittoris, Molina, Gertz, Tomczyk and Tombe. Hans-Jürgen Abt looks on.
Not with confidence,
no,
I have to say. And yesterday it was a pretty difficult day, all things considered, for Audi and Mercedes. Just to remind you, 8 BMWs started yesterday. We lost Martin Tomczyk. The other 7 locked out the front. It was BMW first, second, third, fourth, fifth, sixth, seventh. It was the ultimate domination out of the cars that finished, and really the team apologised later on that it let Tomczyk down rather than him let down BMW, because his car had a brake drama, a brake fire, and that ended up pitting and out of the race. So Jens Marquardt from BMW kind of taking Tomczyk's disappointment for the team and saying, we let the driver down.
Well, there an illustration of how the wind is. It is just a bit breezier, isn't it, today? It's certainly much cooler than yesterday. And there is Timo Scheider.
Just going back to yesterday, the point behind the fact that it was a BMW lockout is that this is a BMW circuit. They like fast corners. There are lots of fast corners here, and so BMWs have been strong all weekend. Augusto Farfus was the man on pole yesterday, 4th career pole, first pole for 2 seasons, and the gun time that he did for pole position yesterday, and I offer you this by way of a guide, was a 1:31.266. I'd be surprised if they weren't a bit quicker than that in the cooler conditions, actually. But anticipate a BMW to be the car to beat in this session. At Hockenheim, both poles went to Audi, Jamie Green and Mike Rockenfeller. At Lausitzring, Audi, Miguel Molina, Jamie Green. Norris Ring, Mercedes and BMW, Christian Vitorius and Bruno Spengler. And then Farfus yesterday. So BMW definitely on the up. But Farfus then, having done the hard work in qualifying, wasted it at the start. It wasn't a dreadful start, it just wasn't good enough. And he ended up down in 4th place and never made progress. Marco Wittmann was the winner, but given a really hard time late race by Antonio Felix da Costa. And it was really good battle between the two. And it was good to see that Wittmann was allowed to hang on to that lead. There was no suggestion of him moving over and letting da Costa through. He had to work to defend that lead.
It always looked like da Costa was quicker, didn't it?
It did,
but,
yeah.
And I have to say, you know, we should at this point congratulate Antonio Felix da Costa, who did a great job yesterday.
Best ever finish. First time in the points all year. You know, and quite a few drivers, thanks to BMW's upswing in fortunes, had their best yesterday. Wittmann's best had been a 5th. It was a win. Felix da Costa 2/12, he got a 2nd.
Yes.
Timo Glock an 8th became a 6th. Farfus an 8th became a 4th. Blomqvist a 17th became 7th in the points for the first time. Maxime Martin 5th became a 3rd. So lots of BMW drivers suddenly getting their best result of the season.
Right. Over the line comes Christian Vitorius then with a 1:31.983. That will give us the benchmark with which to measure everyone else. Here is Pascal Wehrlein then, finished just in the point yesterday. So Pascal Wehrlein, the number 94 Mercedes.
And he was the only one of the top 3 in the championship to score yesterday.
Yes.
Because Ekstrom really struggled in qualifying and never got anywhere near the points, and Jamie Green, who was in the points, went off the road. So neither of those drivers finished. Wehrlein got 1 point.
So Wehrlein moved up closer to the top, didn't he? And that's where the Jamie Green and Matthias Ekstrom margin diminished just slightly. There is Jamie Green, who leads the championship, and he'll be hoping for better things today in the Audi. I've just seen his brother Nigel walking past, actually.
Right.
So Nigel here supporting his brother this weekend.
That'll be brisk a Formula 1 stock car race.
Indeed.
Having moved up to Formula 2, yes. Moving up, Marco Wittmann yesterday, he came here as 15th in the championship. He went to bed 6th. So he really was the winner yesterday, both in terms of points, a race win and championship position. Jamie Green goes top, 1:31.4. We're only 2 tenths away from yesterday, and we're not really yet into the serious business.
No, you're right. And I think your prediction that you expect tomorrow's time to be usurped today is correct, as you so often are. Jamie Green then, 1:31.403. Pascal Wehrlein is P2 at the moment. Now here comes the man that, well, should have done it yesterday and didn't. He didn't have a dreadful start, as David has indicated, but he certainly didn't nail it either. He'd done all the hard work in qualifying, and then it all counted as naught in the end. We've got the clock on Tom Blomqvist, who is in the points yesterday. Career best for Tom Blomqvist. He crosses the timing line now and goes P2. So it's Audi, BMW, then it's 2 Mercedes together at the moment, but we still have just under 15 minutes of this session to run, and we have the clock on Augusto Farfus now, who's done a PB in Sector 1, but best of everyone in Sector 2.
An absolute best in the middle sector, which is the shorter sector.
Yeah.
And he's about to come up towards the timing line. He's got to get a 27.2 or less in the 3rd sector to string it all together, and he goes over the timing line, only 4th fastest. So down really against Pascal Wehrlein in that final sector. Marco Wittmann is the gun at the moment, isn't he? Absolute best in Sector 1. Anything better than a 23.9 in the middle sector will put him fastest there as well. And he's about to get to the end of that middle sector, goes over the line there, the timing line, and a 23.947 is another absolute best. So unless he makes a mistake in this last sector, he's going to be good for provisional pole position.
So let's see if Marco can hook it all up in the final sector then and continue that quest. Antonio Felix da Costa is right behind him, actually. And those two spent so much of the race yesterday battling together. Here comes Marco Wittmann then, and he will cross the timing line now, and he goes, as you suggested, a 1:31.233, puts him provisional pole with Antonio Felix da Costa P2.
And the margin between them is 11 thousandths of a second. So, as ever, it is mighty competitive. We have 24 cars in the DTM and only 16 have done times. Scheider, Rockenfeller, Ekstrom, Molina, Martin, Glock, Mortara and Spengler have yet to set a time. They've yet to do a run. But Farfus is on the money again, isn't he, in the first sector? But then he's down in the middle, and that won't have helped either. Just a little slide coming out of the Audi S. Great to see the sparks flying from underneath, and that spoiled the lap completely. Farfus runs wide. I wouldn't be surprised if he didn't bail out of this.
Yeah.
Is he going to come to the pit lane? He is. So, get a new set of boots on, go for another run. I'm afraid that was driver-induced. He's wasted that last shot on that set of tyres.
Yes. And this is how he did it then. And Augusto Farfus pushing hard, but pushing just a bit too hard and compromising that lap. And there, that was the first error, perhaps. Here is Marco Wittmann, provisional pole at the moment. He's gone even quicker in Sector 1, but a less remarkable Sector 2 for Marco Wittmann. He's already done a 1:31.233, which has given him provisional pole as he heads towards the timing line now. The middle sector, which is the shortest sector, let him down a little bit. And the last sector was...
box this lap, save tyres, box this lap.
So being told to box and save tyres then.
There's Miguel Molina in the Audi. This will be his first flying lap of the session. So the order at the moment is Wittmann, da Costa, Green, Blomqvist, Wehrlein, Farfus 6th, Junqueira 7th, 8th is Paffett, 9th is Maxime Martin, 10th is Christian Vittorius. Where does Molina slot in as he goes over the timing line? The answer is third fastest, 1:31.275. Now Maxime Martin has just done an absolute best middle sector. He's done a personal best and an absolute best. You're looking at Edo Mortara, who's on his first flying lap of the session. But here, Maxime Martin, who in a couple of weeks' time, like Augusto Farfus, is going to be part of the Mark VDS Racing BMW campaign for the Spa 24 Hours. And he comes up towards the timing line now, and the lap from Maxime Martin puts him up to 6th fastest. Ekstrom is a man in a hurry, and so too Rockenfeller.
At the moment we are P6, we're at the pink mid-sector again. We're missing 2 tenths in Sector 1. How is the balance?
So engineers asking of the balance and saying that where his...
Balance is okay, balance is okay.
Balance is okay. So there's something else not right, therefore, in that first sector.
Yeah, where he's losing a couple of tenths.
Yeah, indeed. But Maxime Martin is, I still maintain, a real hero. Maybe more in a GT3 car where he can do more. He's not quite so aero-dependent, but you watch him round Spa, especially in the wet and especially in the dark, and you can't fail to be impressed by the guy. And he's back this year to try and have a victory in the Spa 24 Hours that has thus far eluded him. His dad won it 5 times.
Right.
So there's a bit of pride at stake. Now, how's Timo Glock getting on? He's on an outlap, isn't he, at the moment? So yet to do a time. Pit stops being used as well, of course, to get a second set of tyres on a car. So Wittmann, da Costa, Molina, Green, Blomqvist, Martin, Wehrlein, Farfus, Rockenfeller, Mortara is currently your top 10. Ekstrom, 14th. Yesterday, before the race, he was saying that he lost a few tenths, 2 tenths in the first corner, and that affected him. But he said, with all the weight I was carrying, I was never going to be up near the front anyway. Well, he had the same weight on the car as Jamie Green.
Yeah.
And Jamie was in the top 6 on the grid. So I think it was a slightly and uncharacteristically defeatist Matthias Ekstrom yesterday.
A quick step, I was downshifting in turn 7 from 4 to 3 by mistake.
Okay, no worries. I mean, if I send you out now, it's quite likely that you are entering your timed lap when other cars are leaving the pits. We're adjusting the tyre pressures and then we try to do our best.
Interesting radio traffic, isn't it? About
isn't it?
what to do and when. And here, traffic is a factor because it's one of the narrower circuits, isn't it? Bear in mind.
Yes, narrower, very, very abrasive, overtaking difficult.
Undulating, breeze blows sand onto the track.
Yeah.
Piece of cake being a racing driver, isn't it?
But for all of that, it's a track that looks great and the drivers love it. And here is Timo Glock then. Done a 40.1 in Sector 1, which is not hugely brilliant. Of course, the greens that you're seeing, this is the first timed lap from Timo Glock.
Yeah, I mean, he's 2/10 down on what he ought to be doing there to rival a Wittmann pole time. Middle sector, he's dropped another 2/10. So let's say he drops another 2/10 there. This is going to be about 16th, I would suspect, for Timo Glock.
Well, let's see, because he's heading towards the timing line now. The Wittmann time is on the graphic for you.
Oh, 5th fastest. It all came right in the last sector.
There we have it.
Crikey. Much, much better than anticipated. 2/10 down in one, 2/10 down in another. But Timo Glock managed to hook it all up in the last sector. Excellent job done there.
So now it's Wittmann, Da Costa, Molyneux Green and Glock, the top 5. What have we got? 7.5 minutes. And here comes Bruno Spengler in the BMW Bank car.
But he's 3/10 down in the first sector, and he's given away at least a 10th in the middle sector. Their personal best, yes, but it's his first run. Top 10, but how good? Let's see. Over the timing line. And the answer is 11th. So he missed out on the top 10 by 0.03 of a second.
And that's how close it is.
Yeah.
Wittmann, Da Costa, Molyneux Green, Glock, Mortara, Blomqvist, Martin, Wehrlein, Farfus, the top 10. The way it sits at the moment with exactly 7 minutes left to run.
Bit bleak for Mercedes at the moment, isn't it?
Yes, it is rather.
And we are quicker than yesterday by 33,000. So Wittmann pole at 33,000 quicker than a Farfus pole from yesterday. Currently, Augusto Farfus is currently only 10th fastest. Slowest is Nico Müller at the moment. Robert Wickens is penultimate. And Paul de Resta, a quick word about Paul, he's 19th, but yesterday he put the car in the gravel at the end of qualifying and he crashed out on the first lap, got into the back of traffic, hit Robert Wickens and then went off into the barrier. So it's been a bad weekend so far for Paul.
That little off there compromising Timo Glock's lap that time around, that's for sure.
In this lap, Timo, in this lap.
So Timo being told to box this lap, and we have just over 6 minutes remaining in this short, sharp qualifying. Bruno Spengler then, P11 at the moment, a 40.2 in Sector 1, 24.0 Sector 2. The all-black BMW Bank machine heads towards the timing line now. Can he improve on his P11? Yes, he can. He moves up 3 places and now puts it P8. Got it all together in that last sector at 27.1. So P8 for Bruno Spengler.
Box, Bruno, box, box.
Who's also being told to box now.
It'll be interesting to see what...
Rockefeller 6 seconds behind you in his flying lap. Box, box, full pit stop.
Interesting to see whether they go back out again for Spengler, because there's 5 minutes on the clock only, and by the time they've done that tyre change, it's going to have to be quick to get an out lap and a flying lap in.
Flying lap in, yes.
He was late out, and therefore I just wonder if they are trying to get away with one run, but if they are, it's kind of worked, because 8th now he is. Wittmann, Da Costa, Molyneux Green, Glock, you can see the order on the screen, Mortara, Blomqvist, Spengler, Martin only 9th, Wehrlein 10th and Farfus only 11th. Paffett's only 14th. And Ekstrom's only 16th. And Wickens is only 23rd. But you come back to this age-old problem of having 24 good drivers. They can't all be in the top 6. Pure numbers tells you that. So something has got to give. And now Pascal Wehrlein, Dave, has just done the absolute best in Sector 1.
So let's keep our eyes on Pascal Wehrlein then, a 39.948 in Sector 1. We're on board with Pascal Wehrlein now, using that splitter cam to take us around this Zandvoort circuit. The Wittmann time is up there on the graphic as well, as you can see. 23.8 for Pascal Wehrlein in Sector 2. So for Mercedes-Benz, car number 94 is Pascal Wehrlein. Combines his DTM duties with reserve driving in Formula 1 as well as Mike Rockefeller goes P4. We stay with Pascal Wehrlein now. He was P11. What can Pascal Wehrlein deliver as he crosses the timing line now? He goes P1, so a 1:38.09 from Pascal Wehrlein. Here comes Christian Vettoris as it all gets very, very busy towards the end of qualifying now. From P17, he goes to P2.
So Mercedes 1-2, BMW 3-4, Audi 5-6.
And a train of cars coming out of the pit lane. They're going to get one lap in, aren't they?
They're going to get one lap in, but they've got to manage this properly, because if they all get to the same bit of tarmac and overlap, that drivers will all moan about traffic. So they've got to, on this outlap, try and buy themselves some clear track space. And it's all very well you slowing down to do that for yourself, but the danger is you impede somebody on the quick lap.
Yes.
So now traffic management is going to be very, very important for the remaining 3 more minutes.
So Wehrlein, Vettoris, Mercedes, provisional front row at the moment. There is Matthias Ekstrom. Matthias Ekstrom out on a track. This is Mike Rockenfeller going for another run then. Done a PB in Sector 1. It was a fairly average Sector 2.
Yes, it was, as in it wasn't as good as his best, but it was only slower than the absolute best by 600ths. So if 600ths is average, Dave,
okay,
I'll go with it.
23.868 in the second sector for Mike Rockenfeller. He's into the final sector now and heads towards the timing line. There's Wehrlein's time at the top of the graphics. Mike Rockenfeller now goes no better. So 5/10ths down on his previous time.
500ths down, yes, it was that close. Very, very tight indeed now. Pit this lap, that's it. Rockenfeller's.
Yeah, he's going to do no more, is he?
Yeah. So that got him to 6th. What he's got to hope for now is that others don't go quicker. I fear that some will. There's the Costa look backing out of it, and Blomqvist is going to get caught up behind Lucas Auer. Oh,
that has ruined Blomqvist's lap.
Absolutely. You see, that's what I was talking about. Everybody else is on a slow start-up lap.
Slow down and go for another one, man. Slow down and go for another one.
You can't go for another one because there's too much traffic in the way. All those cars, all trying to get the tyres up to temperature and buy a bit of clear circuit, have ruined the lap for Blomqvist. It's not just Auer. I mean, OK, Auer got in the way, but there were more up the road. Molina, however, his team have released him into a clear bit of road.
So who's at fault there? Is it Blomqvist or is it the team for the team putting him out when they did?
Well, you can put the driver out. You don't know who else is going to be released. But they have a track map with GPS positioning of the other cars on one of the timing pages, so they would have seen the traffic up the road. There's Molina, who's going to go top provisionally. He does. Miguel Molina goes top.
Save the tyres. P1 currently. Save the tyres.
You hear the instructions. Save the tyres. Tyre wear crucial for the race. It is tempting to say the team was at fault on Blomqvist, warning him about the traffic and saying abort.
Because they could see that traffic ahead of them, couldn't they?
Exactly right.
So here is Tomczyk then. Torrid time of it yesterday. Auer under investigation. Well,
yeah, he kind of did block, but if he hadn't got in the way, the next car would.
Yeah, it would have been, if it wasn't him, it would have been the next one, wouldn't it?
But having said that, Auer made no effort to get out of the way. That I will grant Blomqvist. He was seemingly rather oblivious to the circumstance. Tomczyk's just gone 6th. Now, Farfus had done an absolute best Sector 1, now battered by Da Costa, but it's a good first sector. He has done a personal best middle. Wittmann's just gone quickest, 1:30.6.
Spengler now 1:35.
And Farfus goes over the timing line and does second with a 1:30.623. And we're not done yet, because you've got Da Costa on a quick lap as well. Here he comes, absolute best and personal best. And Da Costa goes over the timing line and goes quickest. A 1:30.4. It's getting quicker and quicker all the time now, and we're not done yet.
No, whoever is on a lap now, it's still going to count, isn't it? Because the clock has only just stopped. So Antonio Felix Da Costa currently P1, Bruno Spengler P2, Augustin Farfus P3, then it's Marco Wittmann P4. But that could still change.
I'm looking to see, though, who is on a really good lap. There are 1 or 2 personal best in sectors,
yes,
but not absolute. So you've got here Tomczyk, for example. He's done a personal best in the first sector. He's a little bit down in the middle, and Tomczyk's 13th anyway. So in the middle sector, he has lost 4/10ths. This ain't going to happen. So the other option is this car, which is Mortara, but he's lost 2/10ths in the middle sector as well. So he might improve, but I think Da Costa's pole is safe, Dave.
Okay, a 1:34.83 for Antonio Felix Da Costa then. We're thinking that is going to be the pole time. Eduardo Mortara runs just a little bit into the gravel there. That will have compromised that lap just a little bit as he heads towards the timing line now. Here comes Eduardo Mortara, P12 he was, and stays P12, doesn't improve.
Is Jamie Green still out?
In laps fuel.
I ask about Jamie because he is
turning
only
around the
18th
final
fastest.
turn now.
Okay, and that's Timo Glock, who was stopped out on the circuit. 7th fastest he was. Timo Glock has stopped. I'll come to him in a moment. Jamie Green has just gone across the line and not improved.
Right.
Point being, championship leader Jamie Green 18th, championship second Ekstrom 16th, both with work to do. Timo Glock has stopped. Now, before we get massively concerned about this, that could be a deliberate ploy, because if they've run the car light on fuel in order to keep the weight down to get a good time out of it, they might have told Timo to park it so that he doesn't use all the fuel, so there is the regulation amount in there for fuel sampling come the end of the session. It could be a problem, it could be a deliberate instruction, we don't know.
Well, Antonio Felix da Costa then puts it pole 1:34.83. He was impressive yesterday, took P2 in the race yesterday. Done it all to put himself in the best possible position for today's race, that's for sure. So as we watch Antonio Felix da Costa out of the car then. The Augusto Farfus car is the car ahead of him, as you can see. So it is da Costa, Spengler, Farfus, Wittmann.
So BMW 1, 2, 3, 4, Audi 5, Mercedes 6, BMW 7, Mercedes 8, 9, Juncker we never really mentioned, but he's 8th. Gary Paffett's only 9th and a Mercedes 10th as well.
Yes.
Christian Vitoris. The BMW blitzing of yesterday, not quite as dominant in qualifying. Martin 11th, Tomczyk 13th. Tom Blomqvist only 21st. Yes, he was the other one I was looking for. But again, you've got people out of position. Paul de Resta only 23rd.
Ekstrom 16.
Green 18. Rockenfeller 19.
Yeah, it's...
Don't forget, some of the cars have to carry the championship performance ballast based on previous results. It didn't seem to affect people as much yesterday as today. But Antonio Felix da Costa and the BMWs are light because they haven't had the results relative to the other manufacturers. Sure. He makes the most out of that, and he takes, in the end, the fastest lap time of the session. And it is pole position then for Antonio Felix da Costa by 58 thousandths of a second from Bruno Spengler. And just to show you how competitive the DTM is, 21 cars are covered by less than a second.
Right.
The first one outside the magic second is 22nd Timo Scheider, and he only missed out on being within that magic second by 8 thousandths of a second.
Extraordinary. Absolutely extraordinary. Here is the qualifying for race 8 then in full for you. Antonio Felix da Costa and Bruno Spengler on the front row. Then it will be Augusto Farfus and Marco Wittmann, Miguel Molina, Pascal Wehrlein, Timo Glock, Danny Juncker. Then it's Gary Paffett and Christian Vitoris rounding out the first 5 rows. Then it will be Maxime Martin and Eduardo Mortara with Martin Tomczyk, Maximilian Gertz, Robert Wickens, Matthias Ekstrom, Adrian Tombe, Jamie Green, Mike Rockenfeller, Nico Muller, Tom Blomqvist, Timo Scheider, Paul de Resta, and bringing up the rear, it's going to be Lucas Auer. So that short, sharp qualifying done and dusted as we take a look at some slow-mos of the top 3. And this is Augusto Farfus, who will be hoping to make amends from his race yesterday. He finished just off the podium in P4. Here's Bruno Spengler in the BMW bank car. He has put that on P2 and looks pretty happy with what he's done. The thumbs up from Bruno. And Antonio Felix da Costa then in the Red Bull liveried car. He's 1:34.83, proving to be the one that puts him on pole position. So Antonio Felix da Costa on the podium yesterday, P2, qualifies the car on P1 today. Pole position for Antonio Felix da Costa. Here comes the grid in full for you then. And
another BMW lockout at the front of the grid, isn't it?
Yeah.
Antonio Felix da Costa and Bruno Spengler. And Spengler coming good, eventually. I know he had his good qualifying effort at the Norris ring, and that's where experience counts. But a couple of rounds ago at the Lausitz discussing whether we'd seen the best of Bruno Spengler, but here he is. He can still fight.
But when you look at the order we have, and when you look at yesterday, and what's great about the DTM is this mix of young talent and some of the older, experienced racers that have been with DTM for a while. It's all jumbled up. It's all mixed up, and you know, another factor to draw into what could happen in the race this afternoon is we do not know what the weather is going to do. It is certainly much cooler than yesterday. It's windier than yesterday. We had rain overnight. There is the threat of a shower today, and it's a longer race with mandatory pit stop, which you know, will affect things also. So there's a lot to be looked into before the race this afternoon. So looking forward to it. So Antonio Felix da Costa then, as we go to the grid. And the first row is Antonio Felix da Costa and Bruno Spengler, the BMW on the front row.
The second row of the grid is a BMW lockout. It's Augusto Farfus and the reigning champion Marco Wittmann.
Then we get to see other manufacturers, Miguel Molina, P5, and Pascal Wehrlein, P6.
Then you get to BMW and Mercedes. Timo Glock starts 7th, Danny Juncadella is 8th.
Gary Paffett, the best he could deliver was P9, and Christian Vitoris will go from P10.
Then you have Maxime Martin's BMW only 11th, Edo Mortara 12th at the end for Audi.
Then we see Martin Tomczyk and Maximilian Goertz, P14.
His best qualifying of the year ahead of Robert Wickens, 15th, and a disappointing Matthias Ekstrom. He's only 16th on the grid.
Adrian Tombe will go from P17, and the championship leader, Jamie Green, from P18.
With a lot of work to do. Ditto Mike Rockenfeller, he's only 19th, former champ. Nico Muller, 20th.
Tom Blomqvist, we saw him in quali. He goes from P21 with Timo Scheider alongside him.
And then it is Paul di Resta who's having a torrid weekend, outpacing teammate Lucas Auer for the back of the grid.
So the grid is set then. And we take a look at some of the highlights then from qualifying the race to come this afternoon. From David and from myself, well, we'll join you in about a couple of hours' time for a race which is going to be simply super.
Thank you.